Today we have a new project. This is my KitchenAid 250 watt food mixer. Now if you have a mixer like this and you see what looks like oil or grease coming out of this ring or maybe on the bottom here, and maybe you've been using it and it's dripped into your mix, you might think, ooh, that's gross and we need to do something about it. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to go buy a new mixer. Instead, you can fix this, and that's what we're going to do today. You have gears up here in the top, and inside these gears you have grease. And if this grease sits for a long time or this gets used excessively, that grease and oil might start to separate, and what happens is that oil makes its way out through this little ring right here, and then it comes down and it gets to the bottom here and starts to drip in. So this is fixable, and I'm going to show you how we do it. So a couple things you're going to need. One, you're going to need some new grease. Now I'll post a link as to where I got this from right here. This is it's about 4 ounces. And this is going to be enough to go ahead and repack the grease for this device. So this will take care of you. A couple other basic things you're going to need. You're going to need some gloves right here. When we go to get this grease out, it's probably going to be a little messy, so you're going to want some gloves. Not that you necessarily need them, so it's kind of your call on that one. Other thing you're going to need is maybe a putty knife. Now this is just a paint stir stick. I have a bunch of these, right? Anytime you go to a big box store, if you do some painting, some home maintenance, things like that, you might have some of these lying around as well. But it's wood and it's disposable, so that's why I like it. A couple other basic things. Screwdriver. This Phillips head screwdriver right here. And you might need a couple of different flatheads. And we'll go ahead and put these to use. There's one more thing that I think we're going to need here, and that is it's just a little nail punch. You don't have to have an exact nail punch, but you're going to need something kind of small, short, and steel, and we're going to use this to punch a pin out that's in here. And we'll make use of this in just a little bit as well. So without spending any more time on this, let's just go ahead and jump right in and knock this out. On the back of the mixer, you have a cap here, and this is where you're going to use your Phillips headed screwdriver. So we're going to come in, and we're going to go ahead and pull this off. Alright, put this off to the side. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and take this power cord that runs up in here and just wiggle it to the back, just like that. And you'll notice as we take a look at this, there is some oil right here that has come from the front of the housing unit to the back. Now I've had this mixer for many years, and so I'm not too surprised by this. You want to grab yourself a towel, or this just paper towel right here. Kind of starts that cleaning process. Just going to wipe it down a bit. You can see that's been on there. Some of this is kind of wet, and some of it appears to be a little more congealed, like it's been on there for a little while. Next thing we want to do is take off this ring right here. And for that, I'm going to use a flat-headed screwdriver. Now, if you haven't taken this ring off in a long time like myself, you might also need the assistance of a little hammer. But if you take this flat edge right here and place it right between the ring and the unit itself and try to tap down with the palm of your hand. And if that doesn't work, just grab yourself a hammer and just tap it. Tap it ever so lightly, and that ring will start to come off. So we're going to go ahead and try to take this off right now. There you go. So it didn't require too much to get that off. I'm going to show you the inside of this ring. I don't know if you can see that, but there is all kinds of oil caught up down in there. Before moving on, I just want to show you a quick after shot. And I went ahead and took some warm soapy water and an old toothbrush and got in here and cleaned up the inside of that rim. And so a few minutes later, here we are, dried it out, and it's good to go. So let's go ahead and drive on. All right, now that we have the ring off, we need to go ahead and remove the bottom assembly here. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into that now. I'm just going to go ahead and tilt the unit back. And the reason for this is we first need to take this pin out right here in the center. And once we get this pin out, this bottom assembly is going to come down, and it's going to expose these screws right here, and there's 5 of them. And we're going to go ahead and pull those screws off. And after that, there are 4 screws here in the back. We need to go ahead and take those off. So let's go ahead and remove this bottom assembly. I'm going to go ahead and use my hole punch right here. Keep in mind you can use anything that's going to be kind of long, skinny, and steel. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit this on the punch right here. And I'm going to see if we can pop this out. Alright. See if we can wiggle that out. There we go. So I got the pin out. I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. And what you want to do at this point is grab 2 flathead screwdrivers like we have right here. And you want to put them as close as you can to kind of opposite each other. And then push at the same time to get the bottom assembly off. Just like this. And let's see if I can get this with my hands now. Yeah. Alright, it's getting there. It's just a little stuck. There we go. So now, inside the bottom here, I don't know how well you can see this, but there's quite a bit more grease and oil caught up in here, and I'll clean this out after. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side as well. And as you can see, these additional screws are exposed, so go ahead and grab yourself the flat-headed screwdriver. If you have a power drill, that works as well. We'll go ahead and take these out. Alright, with those 5 screws out, now we need to focus on, there's 2 right here, and there's going to be 2 in the back. So let's go ahead and take these 2 out now while the unit's still up. And then we'll put the unit down and grab the 2 in the back. The 2 additional screws are located here in the back. One's right here, and the other one is right over here. We're going to go ahead and take these out now. One quick note about this screw. This screw has a lock washer on it right here, and this was on the back right side. So you want to ensure that this one screw with that lock washer goes right back in the one it came out of. The rest of them, it doesn't matter. You can kind of see the grease and the oil is really coming out back here as well. So now that we have all the screws out, we'll move forward. Alright, now we're going to take off the top assembly of this unit, and we're going to do so with a flat-headed screwdriver right here. And what you're going to do is just put it in this little notch area here, and push up, push down, and if you do it gentle, you'll see how it's slowly coming up on us. There we go. Use both hands, and I'm going to lift this up, just like that. And I'm going to take this over just like that right there. And you can see top assembly has a lot of grease caught up in there. And we'll go to clean that out. And you can see right around the gears right here, you see all the grease built up. We're going to go ahead and take that out. And I can also see right in here that the grease has kind of come away from the gears. So we're going to go ahead and use, let's say use a putty knife. In my case, I'm going to use a paint stick. And we're going to go ahead and scoop this out. Alright, I have a disposable container right here and my trusty paint stick, and we're just going to go ahead and start to scoop off this grease. You can see there should be about 4 ounces coming off, maybe 3 to 4, and we're going to put 3 to 4 back on there. Alright, we have all the old grease pulled off. It took me about 10 minutes or so, but you can kind of see it right here. It's a good glob of it, and it's not that you have to get this squeaky clean so that you eat off it, but you want to get most of it off. And one thing I want to point out is right here is a gasket, and so this gasket, it comes up, but it doesn't come completely off. It looks like there's a rivet over here that holds it in place, but if you can lift this up, wipe underneath, wipe the top real well. I used quite a bit of paper towel and just kind of dug down into the crevices and pulled out as much as I could. So I also cleaned out the top assembly, as you can kind of see. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that on the video here, but I cleaned most of that out right there. I put the gear back in, and what we're going to do right now is we're going to repack that grease into the gears. So in order to do that, it's kind of a reverse engineering process. You can use your putty knife if you want, or in this case, again, I got my disposable paint stick, and here's the grease right here. So that grease looks kind of similar to what we pulled out, and so we're going to go ahead and start repacking the gears. And I'm just going to scoop it out right here. And what you want to do is try to get this right up into the gears, right into here. And keeping in mind, this is about 4 ounces, so you're going to want to put most of this right back into the gears and just kind of glob it up and around here. And we're going to do just like this right here. Alright, as you can see, we've got everything kicked back on as far as the grease goes. And take note again of that gasket. If you did pull this up to clean it, just ensure it's lined back up over the holes. What we want to do now is take our top assembly right here, and we're going to put this back on. And one thing you don't want to do is force this. So we're going to go ahead and just slide this back in. What needs to happen here is the gears are going to need to line up. So this might be a little easier said than done. And so it goes down like this. Now what you need to do is take this shaft on the bottom, and you can use your punch tool, whatever you had used to pop the pin out, and put that in there. And then what you want to do is just kind of rotate this around so that the gears start to line up, and it will at some point hopefully slide down as it finds its groove. Okay, I've finally assembled the top unit here, and this took a little more time than what I thought to put this top unit on. I did have to manipulate the gears down here to try to get this to fit, and it just took a little finagling to twist it back and forth. And I had to take a break in there, so it's a little later in the day right now, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this job up. And all we have to do right now is just reverse engineer this and put all the clean it all up and put the screws back on. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to start off by putting our 2 screws on the back end first, and there's one here, one here. So let's go ahead and make that happen. We have 2 more screws right here, so we're going to go ahead and put these in. Okay, this is also a good time to take a look at the underneath here and inside the gears, and take time to wipe this down and look on the outside here, and just feel free to wipe all that down and get that cleaned up. Once you feel you have it cleaned and it's good to go, let's go ahead and proceed. I'm going to put these 5 screws back in. Alright, it's good to go, nice and solid. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and tackle the lower assembly. And the way we're going to do this is when you look at this pin right here, you should see 2 little holes in there. And what you're going to want to do is line that up with the hole on the outside of the lower assembly. So I'm going to stand up for this right here, And I'm going to kind of eyeball this, and we're going to push this on. Keep in mind, for that gear to fit, you may need to rotate this just a little bit. There we go. So now it's on, and what I'm going to show you, I'm going to move the camera around and see if we can see this, but inside this pin does not line up perfectly, and so what I've done, you can use a small little screwdriver if you have one. I also tried a paper clip, although I tend to find that I need something a little stronger. So I've got some other little tools in my arsenal, and this is one of them, and this tends to help as well. So whenever you have that small and metal that you can put in there and straighten the hole out, that's the way to go. Let's see if I can give you a better look at that. Okay, this might be a little tough to see, but you might be able to see right through there, and if not, if you're off just a little bit, as I mentioned, what you can do is just take yourself a little tool of some sort, maybe even a coat hanger, and push that through and just line it up. Okay, we're at a better angle. See my pin's in. I'm going to first see if I can tap this down. It's actually going down fairly smooth. That looks good. So I push that pin down until it's flush with the surface here, and it's flush with the other side. So this pin's in, it's good to go. And as you can see right up here on the edge, I already cleaned this up, but it's still, it's just stained from that grease and that oil. I may take a green scour pad to it, see if I can clean it up a little more. The next step is going to be to put on the ring. So we're going to grab the ring and get that on here. Alright, so here's our ring, and this should just fit on kind of like it did before, and it's almost like it's just going to snap in place. Okay, we're on the tail end of this project, and what we want to do right now is we're going to take the power cord and we are going to reinsert the stress relief piece right here. Ensure all your cables are pushed in and good to go. Then we're going to take our rear assembly, which I have right here, and all you're going to do is latch the bottom piece in first and tilt it forward, just like that. Put your little Phillips screw right on the top. Alright, the assembly is done and it's back in working order. This KitchenAid Classic 250 watt food mixer is ready to go. So if you find yourself in a similar situation where you see some grease and maybe some oil coming down around this edge right here, you're thinking, ooh, I need to go get a new one, you don't need to. You can just fix the one you have. And I don't think it was that difficult. The most trying part of this was probably just putting on this top assembly and getting the gears to match. That was it. This repair really didn't take too long. It's later in the day right now, but it's no consequence to the difficulty of the project. I just took a break and came back to it. So one quick notable was the grease. So now with this grease, this is about 4 ounces. And I really only think I used maybe 2 or 3 ounces. If you notice, when we took off the top assembly, a lot of that grease was caught up in the housing up in here. This grease really just needs to be down in the gears. That's it. So I have a little left over in case I need to do this again. Hopefully this video helped you out, and if it did, if you have any questions, feel free to post a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. I'm sure the other viewers of this video will do the same. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. It's always helpful. Thanks. Have a great day.